What scientific experiment would you run if money and ethics weren't an issue? I'd raise a group of children from birth to adulthood, kinda a Truman Show thing, without any contact with music, and see how it affects their lives and personalities. I'd make sure everything else would be normal, but music would be edited out of their lives. That Doctor Who episode wherein they bred artificially grown humans, infect them each with all known diseases, so that they can develop antibodies/cures. Not necessarily a scientific experiment, but a series of experiments to see how you can control nerve sensations from the brain, and whether a poo can create VR that can perfectly mimic the sensation of touch whilst being motionless. As if you're moving and touching something in a virtual world, but not in the real world. Is that even possible? Redesigning the human sinus. I wish to find a way to modify the body to fix that mess of an airway. Have a baby human raised by apes, basically to see if Tarzan scenario would occur and the human is able to communicate fully with the apes. The Gilligan's Island experiment. Shipwreck 100 people with vastly different backgrounds, wealth disparity, and personalities on a remote island. See what kind of civilization grows from it. Then do it 50 more times to check results against each other. How would the world react to a mountain of 100 billion pennies for free in the middle of a major area? Oh man, I love this question. There are a ton of geoengineering experiments that I'd love to run if they weren't both 1. Illegal, 2. Insanely expensive, 3. Non-zero possibility of death and destruction. Iron fertilization. Basically dumping tons of iron dust into the ocean to cause an algae bloom which should sequester a bunch of carbon and help mitigate global warming. Cloud seeding, space mirrors, dropping a nuke into a volcano. You know, normal stuff. How athletes from different sports react to fight or flight. Even further, would they fight differently than others? Dinosaur cloning. What else is there to do? Genetic altering of humans. I don't currently have an issue with anyone that wants to do it on themselves. However, to do it to an embryo or through the parent's DNA to see what we could do to advance humans would be amazing. Alterations to intelligence, memory, physical attributes, gills to swim underwater, visual alterations to see the full light spectrum and hearing for the full sound spectrum, immunity to all diseases and harmful bacteria, ability to eat almost anything for sustenance. I'd want to see what a society of children would do on their own if they were alone from birth. Of course, adjustments would have to be made for when they were infants, but beyond that, how would they develop language, ethics, mythology, culture? And as they got older, how would they handle coming of age without adult role models? Though unethical, I think an experiment like that would answer a lot of questions about sociology, psychology, anthropology, and philosophy. It would be like watching the beginning of human society from scratch, with no external influence. Edit. Yes, I have read Lord of the Flies, however that is a work of fiction. Edit 2. You guys have a lot of brilliant ideas on how to improve this experiment and a lot of true stories to make hypotheses on. I'm really enjoying reading this thread. See if a monkey tribe could become dominant over the rest by training them to make and use weapons and other primitive technology. Also interested in seeing if they would take their newfound knowledge and begin to expand an empire. I've always wanted to try to breed a winter blooming rose. Ethics are fine, but the cost of having that many roses in a hothouse and the decades of selective breeding most likely required to accomplish it would cost an astronomical amount, so I'm sticking with it. Near-death experiences and what people see. So basically I'd want to kill a bunch of people then bring them back to life. I'm sure a lot of them wouldn't make it back. CRISPR the absolute fuck out of some kids and make some next level humans that can run stupid fast and jump crazy high, then make the superhuman Olympics and figure out what humans are really capable of. Edit. Oh shit, first gold. You and your offspring will be exempt from my CRISPR trials. I want to send someone to space without a spacesuit I've read about everything that can happen. I just want to see it on film. How children develop when occasionally microdosing LSD. How long a decapitated head stays conscious. All we have are anecdotes that might have been exaggerated. I've always wanted a definitive answer, but you know, ethics. Brain transplants from humans to animals and vice versa. I will make 5 subjects of sane and healthy mind placed in a facility with 5 psychopaths, insane murderers. They will have group activities in a pair of 2 from each group, and the activities will be of 2 types, moral and immoral. Then I will conduct results about how much these activities affect the subjects in both groups. Edit. They are not in a prison. They are just being volunteers. Prison is totally different scenario, and the Stanford prison experiment had totally different outcomes. These group of 2 will go through a murder activity, but psychopaths are not allowed to murder their partner or anyone other in the experiment. I've actually thought a ton about this. I would put 2 people through the exact same conditions the entire life. Now I'm not talking just similar scenarios, but everything from the weather inside the womb to the humans they interact with to the wind every day, and I would see if they are the same. Essentially, if humans are born with personalities, or if we develop them through little things all our life, essentially the butterfly effect. TBH, this probably wouldn't even be possible with infinite money, but it would be cool. Have an Olympics, where every single athlete is drugged to an insane level. I think it would raise what is possible by today's standards drastically. Raise a child without ever punishing or rewarding them, just let them do whatever they want, and then see what happens to their behavior when they age. Pretty much any Voltech experiment. I'd like to clone several sets of baby Hitlers and see how they grow up in different environments. Some can include asterisk a loving family, the kind that you barf at because they are so perfect. Asterisk a Jewish family. Asterisk an artistic family that encourages his talent. Asterisk an abusive family similar to the one he grew up with. Asterisk a family of scientists. Asterisk and finally, the most unethical environment, a family of politicians. I'd love to pit elite Madden gamers vs NFL play callers and see who is better at game management and play calling. I'd run a serial killer contest. First person to successfully kidnap and kill 50 people receives $10 million 1 year after the last kill, if they are not caught by authorities, and if they can prove the killings. How many persons would undertake this? How many victims would there be? I would breed and engineer dogs to become more intelligent until they can understand the concept of "I'm coming back soon." Don't worry, they deserve it for helping us get this far as a species. I'd train gorillas in weightlifting, really see how tanked they can get, boost them with steroids along the way. After that, I'd take my army of beasts, pump them full of cocaine, and let them loose in an empty shopping mall. Wanna see which stores they like, and which ones they don't. Ick now, for science and shit. Edit. I've had some fantastic input from you geniuses. To add, the gorillas will be trained in all beef up exercises, even though science is against me on this one. We are gonna throw some PCP in with the cocaine. Cybernetic hearts to handle the load of coke. Yada, yada, yada. Thought I had more on this. Oh. And the mall is empty, because I'm not a freaking murderer, you guys. Quit trying to kill everyone. Not all science is about death, jeez. To measure the effect on development of humankind, by eliminating the least intelligent 5% of the human population every year, based on monthly standardized testing. Iron Man suit. Ethics don't even need to be ignored. I just really want a complete Iron Man suit with all the weapons, flight and FRIDAY. Edit. You guys seem to be worried about how I'm going to power the suit. All Iron Man suits have an arc reactor built into the chest, even the Mk1. I asked for a suit, so I'm probably gonna make something similar to the arc reactor, built into the chest. I've always been really curious what the results of the Holocaust twin experiments would be if they were run by a sane person. if I didn't have to worry about the fact that I was slaughtering a bunch of children, which very much goes against my morals. I'd recreate those. Put 100 babies from different countries on an island with a bunch of mute caretakers. Then see what their language would sound like. Put a baby in a pure white room at room temperature and find a way keep them alive with no human interference. What would they do for their whole life? I would try to raise mentats, Dune style. More specifically, I would take young children and subject them to an extremely demanding teaching and testing regime. Then I would use the results to try to find out, as early as possible, which children would fare better, and improve the quality of the teaching and conditioning, largely to make their first allegiance be to the school. After a few decades, I think that we might get a system to generate geniuses pretty much on demand, and naturally, the best of them would be tasked with leading and refining further the teaching. Which prescription drugs aren't really dangerous to mix with alcohol, and to what dosage can you be closest to death without dying, so I can get litty. Throw 2 groups of toddlers, one boys and the other girls, on 2 separate islands. Provide them food via robots, and not teach them anything regarding gender, sexuality, race, language, etc. And see how they develop, and never mention to them the opposite sex, and have them be racially diverse too. It would answer so many questions regarding psychology. Is sexual orientation a product of nature or nurture? Are humans born with innate gender roles? Are humans naturally tribal and or xenophobic, etc.? Edit. Thanks for the silver and gold. A couple of people confusing attraction towards the opposite sex with desire to procreate. Some gay people want to have kids too.